Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are going to tackle a massive topic for anyone who works in the cloud, cost optimization. And let's be clear, this isn't just about slashing budgets. It's about being smart and getting the absolute most value out of every single dollar you spend. So, let's be honest for a second. Have you ever opened your monthly cloud bill and just had your jaw drop? That feeling of, wait a minute, how did we spend that much? If you've been there, trust me, you are in very good company. It's a super common experience. And here's the thing you need to know. That shock isn't a sign that you've failed. It's actually a totally normal side effect of the cloud's biggest strength, its incredible speed and agility. I mean, being able to spin up resources with a single click is amazing, but it also creates these variable cost patterns that can get, well, a little tricky to manage. But what if you had a roadmap? A proven strategy to get a handle on all this? That's exactly what we're digging into today. We're not just talking about random tips and tricks, but a real strategic framework for building cost-efficient systems right from the very beginning. At its heart, the cost optimization pillar is all about one simple, but really powerful idea: running your systems to deliver the most business value you can at the lowest possible price point. And notice the key word here isn't cheap, it's efficient. It's all about spending wisely to hit your business goals. So, to make this happen, the framework gives us 5 key design principles to live by. First, adopt a consumption model. Pay only for what you actually use. Second, you have to measure your overall efficiency. Third, and this is a big one, stop spending money on all the heavy lifting of data center operations. Fourth, analyze and attribute where every single dollar is going. And fifth, lean on managed services to lower your total cost of ownership. Okay, so those principles sound great in theory, right? But how do you actually put them into practice? Well, it really starts with a change in mindset. It's about building a solid practice of what's called cloud financial management. And this isn't just about buying a new tool. It's about changing your culture. And that brings us to an absolutely critical point: partnership. See, cost optimization isn't just an engineering problem to solve, and it's not just a finance problem to track. It's an organizational thing. Forging a real partnership between your finance and tech teams, that's the foundation you need for a culture where everybody feels responsible for costs. So how do you build a culture like that? You can think of it as a 3-step process. First, you've got to identify every single process that creates or gets rid of a resource. Second, you build awareness so your teams really get the financial impact of their technical choices. And finally, you update those processes with cost-aware checks, both before and after you deploy anything. You know that old saying, you can't optimize what you can't see? Well, that's what this next part is all about. It's a fundamental piece of the puzzle: expenditure awareness. You absolutely have to know where every dollar is going. And the number one tool for this? It's tagging. Seriously. Without a consistent tagging strategy, your cloud bill is just a big, confusing black box of unallocated costs. Accountability is basically impossible. But with the right tags, the entire picture changes. Suddenly, costs are tied to specific projects or teams or products, and that drives a sense of ownership and lets you make smart, data-driven decisions. And here's why this matters on a business level. Good tagging connects your cloud spending directly to business outcomes. When you can attribute costs with real accuracy, you can finally figure out which of your products are genuinely profitable, and that lets you make much, much smarter decisions about where to invest. Okay, so now we know where the money is going. The next logical question is, how do we spend less of it? And this is where we get to talk about one of the most powerful features of the cloud: elasticity. The principle behind elasticity is so simple, but it's a game changer. Pay only for the computing resources you actually consume. Think of it like the electricity in your house. You wouldn't leave every single light on 24/7, right? Well, in the cloud, you can turn resources on and off when you need them, which completely eliminates the cost of paying for idle capacity. This chart here, this is what the old world of on-premises data centers looked like. You had to buy enough hardware to handle your absolute peak capacity, which meant that most of the time, all this expensive hardware was just sitting there, not doing much. That huge gap you see between the provisioned capacity and the actual demand, that's just pure wasted money. And this is the power of elasticity in action. By automatically scaling your resources up and down to match real-time demand, you can pretty much eliminate all of that waste. Your provisioned capacity line just hugs the actual demand line. You have exactly what you need, right when you need it, and you're not paying a penny more.
And, achieving this is probably more accessible than you think. You can use things like auto-scaling to manage compute instances for you. You can adopt a serverless first mindset where the infrastructure just scales automatically. Or you can even set up simple alarms to just terminate resources that are sitting idle.
But maybe the most important thing to take away from all this is that cost optimization is not a one-time project you just check off a list. It's a continuous, ongoing process of improvement because what's optimal today might be totally inefficient tomorrow. The cloud is always evolving. New services, new features, more efficient options are being released all the time. If you're not regularly reviewing your architecture, you're running the risk of using outdated components that cost you more and perform worse than the modern alternatives. This means you really need to have an optimization cycle. So right now, you could be reviewing your current workloads against the latest services. Next quarter, maybe you analyze the cost of keeping those legacy components around. And annually, you should be prepared to re-architect key systems. And through it all, you're always fostering that culture of continuous improvement. When you really commit to this cycle, something amazing happens. Your architecture doesn't just get older and collect dust and technical debt. With every review, with every improvement, it actually gets better. It gets more efficient and more tightly aligned with what your business is trying to do. So, this leaves us with one final question to ask yourself. Is your cloud architecture getting fitter and more efficient over time, or is it just getting more expensive? The answer really lies in how you practice cost optimization. Thanks for watching.